Welcome to the Cryptonomatron, and today's ICO review is on Bridge Protocol. Bridge Protocol are trying to implement secure digital identities on the blockchain, and they're building new tools and standards for businesses, know your customer, and ICOs. So let's take a look at how they're going to do it and what sort of investment proposal they have for us during their ICO. So there is quite a lot of competition in the space already for digital identities, not least of on the Neo blockchain, which Bridge Protocol are launching on. They will be an NEP5 token, of course. Now there are other digital identity projects that have launched on the Neo blockchain. Self-Key is one of them. Also there is The Key, which is another one. Again, decentralized identity verification tools so that you can do banking, you can partake in ICOs, you can basically get your KYC done automatically because your identity can be verified on the blockchain very easily and cheaply for any companies that are wanting to do it. And you know, the real game changer here is the cost reduction, really, in the whole procedure. At the moment, it's very expensive to actually conduct these KYC checks, and companies charge a lot of money to do it. It's not secure, and so bringing the blockchain to this is quite important. So there's two projects off the top of my head there that are NEP5 or Neo based, but there are loads of digital identity tokens now available. The competition is quite robust in this sector. There are also obviously many ERC20 Ethereum based tokens. Now what the Bridge Protocol intends to do is activate cross-chain ability so that you can actually verify on many different blockchains, not only just using the Neo blockchain. So they've already thought about how they're going to integrate with loads of different systems. And Civic is probably the oldest one that I could think of anyway. No doubt there is many more. I mean, there's several Ethereum based ones as well, but Civic is one that springs to mind. They are an ERC20 token, and obviously doing the same thing, digital identity on the blockchain, and they give the tools to protect and control identities, so that makes the whole process of you know, anything that requires a security verification a lot easier for the customer and a lot cheaper for the client. Let's look now at the problems that Bridge Protocol want to solve. Now the first thing is the cost. The cost of running an ICO or another similar project is $125,000 to $250,000 in legal fees alone. And obviously when you're conducting KYC checks to get on your exchanges or to do any other sort of legal business, it's a very expensive and tedious process that really needs modernization. And these put up unnecessary cost barriers for companies, small companies especially, looking to raise or crowdfund their business. And of course, most of the ICOs that are launched are small businesses. There are a lot of bigger businesses that should know better, that really don't need to run ICOs. We've been there, we've looked at some of them with products already. And there's other businesses that are trying to prop up their failed businesses that aren't making any money. So they go to you, Joe Public, because you're a mug and you'll put money in, and at least that's the way they treat us. But small businesses, ones with really attractive propositions that can't afford to put in that sort of money for legal fees, basically it's prohibitive for them to do the crowdfunding. So unnecessary cost barriers is one of the major drawbacks of the current system. And again, you know, this goes hand in hand as well. This is restricted entrepreneurs from crowdfunding or gaining access to funds that they need to get their projects off the ground. And you know, I don't know if this is a problem per se, but attorneys or lawyers, legal eagles are getting rich off of this because they can milk it. You need legal representation, especially if you are in the US or elsewhere. You know, you really need to get your T's crossed and your I's dotted. You need to do everything above board. Otherwise, you know, the authorities start looking into you, and then you get problems. So this is an ideal cash grab for attorneys and legal firms. And a traditional KYC, know your customer, costs are very prohibitive. Again, they cost about 30k to 50k US dollar just to conduct a know your customer campaign, which is actually required for a lot of exchanges these days, and required by law or regulation in many countries around the world. But also, identities need to be re-verified during the ICO, so it could be the case that you've got to go through it again, so you're paying twice. And another big problem is the customer data that you've got on a centralized system can be compromised. There's no privacy, there's certainly no security. And again, the biggest problem, failure to implement blockchain. It's quite ironic really, you're not implementing a blockchain system for identity verification for people that are buying into new blockchain technology, which is quite odd, and a certain hint of irony there. So referring to the white paper, the aims of Bridge Protocol are as follows. Now the abstract reads thus: the Bridge Protocol is an open distributed network of trusted machines and users promoting behaviours, standards and enforcement mechanisms to provide real-world value and application. The system facilitates an ability for users to deploy business processes that comply to existing standards and regulations. So it sounds very technical. But essentially what they're doing is they're going to have a digital identity system on the blockchain, on the Neo blockchain in the case of Bridge Protocol, and that will allow companies to access information a lot quicker, verify a lot quicker, and reduce the costs. Guarantee privacy because it will be a decentralized system, and also it will make it easier for the consumer, the customer, that's you and me, if we're partaking in, for example, ICOs. I use ICOs as the example, it's the easiest one. It's the one they're identifying or they're targeting for their business initially. But this digital identity has quite a lot of uses. You know, if you're opening a bank account, for example, if you are investing in stocks or shares, if you're doing anything that requires verification on the internet, then this will be a system that will work both for you, the consumer, and for the client as well. So essentially you get your own digital identity, it's immutable, and it just needs verification on the odd occasion. So it's a new system. Everybody eventually, I think, will have one, and Bridge Protocol are lining up to provide their own service for ICOs initially, and then they will move on to other areas as well. So the market for ICOs is growing. I've always said 2018 will be the year of the ICO. Last year it was building up. They got really popular about June, July, and then started really taking off towards the end of the year. Once everybody had realized this is the way forward for crowdfunding and everybody can get involved. You don't have to be a registered investor or institutional investor or an accredited investor, whatever the stupid name is for them in the US. You can take part, Joe Blogs, and that's what it's all about. And let me categorically state now that I really support ICOs that do things properly, that give me and you, the little man, a chance to partake. I do not like ICOs that target bigger investors, accredited investors. I don't like them because that is the antithesis, it defeats the purpose of what ICOs were all about. You know, if you want to raise money that way, go and run an IPO, go get yourself listed on the stock exchange, do it the old way. Go back to the old economy. Don't come on the crypto space saying you're running an ICO and then say, no, we've raised enough money already because we had all these private pre-sales. We raised tens of thousands of Ethereum and the little guy can't get in. That's wrong. I'm sorry, it's a rant I'm having at the moment, but it's a rant I needed to get off my chest because there are a few ICOs and people getting rich off them, because what happens is they can sell to their private investor buddies for cheap and then turn around and say we're not having an ICO anymore, and then dump on the exchanges where the little guy has no choice but to pay maybe 5 to 10, maybe even more times on the exchanges for the tokens that they were going to be at the ICO. So, and I've got one ICO in mind when I say that. I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to mention them, but if you've been following the ICO space for a while, you'll know who and what I mean, because it's just not fair for the little guy. It really isn't. So that rant aside, back to the white paper now. And we're looking at the market. So ICOs have raised over $3.7 billion US to date. In 2017, ICO funding surpassed $1.2 billion US. So the market here is absolutely phenomenal. I've no doubt 2018 will be the year of the ICO, as I stated. It will grow and grow. Will it be a bubble? I have no idea. I don't like making predictions. Can it continue? Possibly. Will it be regulated? Also possible. You know, the fact is, at the moment, ICOs are a good way of people to invest in projects they're interested in, and it's a good way for companies to crowdfund without having to do things in the old way, going through an IPO and all the nonsense that surrounds that. So it's an easier way, it's an easier method, but it is still quite expensive. And more and more ICOs are launching every day. This is set to grow exponentially this year. I mean, I could see ICOs maybe raising $10 billion plus this year. You know, just even in we're only in January, and there's been a phenomenal demand for ICOs, and this is set to continue. People are waking up now to the fact that you know, there are a lot of good projects coming, and a lot of decent investments, and you can make a lot of money. There's a big wealth transfer going on from the old economy to the new economy now, where you know, these old traditional banks and these old traditional stock exchanges are getting some money taken out of them, and it's moving over into this new digital fintech world. So it's a good thing. It's a natural progression. And I think what we're going to see is this trend is going to continue at least for the next 6 months. I would say probably throughout 2018. ICOs are going to continue to be very, very popular. So obviously the digital identity marketplace will be, you know, it'll be a hard fought win for a lot of these companies. There are a few companies in the space, so the market can't obviously sustain them all. But for those that have a polished product and can provide the proper digital identity services for individuals, then I really think that they can go a long way. So the Bridge Protocol is going to implement a microservices architecture for business applications that uses the blockchain for management of activities relating to smart contracts, services, and general logic processing on the network. Now, the important thing about this is that they are going to be cross-chain or cross-blockchain interface, so that they can be used on multiple different blockchains, which is important. We have so many blockchains now, two main ones obviously, the Ethereum blockchain, which is leading the way in the development of decentralized apps or dApps, and also following the Neo blockchain, and several other systems coming now with their own platforms. And again, how are you going to integrate this? How are you going to be able to use one service if it only applies to one blockchain? So that's not really feasible in the future. You really want to have a model that can cross blockchain and also retain all of the features, the privacy, the security that it does on its own chain. So that's what Bridge Protocol intend to do. They will basically be providing a certificate for a digital identity, so there will be an authority, if you like, on the blockchain, and there will be a high assurance with this, or very high standard, so to speak. You can also apply it to many different industries, not just ICOs. But there's a lot of applications for this, a lot of use cases, like I mentioned before, opening a bank account, or applying for other financial services, loans, or stuff like that. So without going too deep into the technology here, the website's got quite a good summary of the different components that make up Bridge. The first one is the Bridge Identity Management System, and that manages the issuance, the revocation, and the verification of identities on the blockchain. So they have this system called Bring Your Own Key, or BYOK, and it allows the user to share only the data that they select when and where they want. So you'll be in charge of exactly what data you share. If you don't want to share your passport details, for example, your date of birth, your gender, whatever, you can set your permissions. So ultimately you're in control of the data that you're giving away. There will be certificates as well. As a certificate authority, they need something to give to their clients, banks, companies running ICOs are demanding the KYC information. So they say here that they will be issued on preset classifications. So users will be granted permissions to participate through their public address. Tier functionality allows access to contracts through easy integration of code for all ICOs and marketplace agreements. They will also have a marketplace, which is an interesting feature. So IAM tokens will allow access to storefronts for legal agreements, ICO templates, verification, development opportunities, and microservices at community-driven costs. So the digitalization graphic here, as we can see, the transactions will be run on a private chain or side chain, sorry. And the Neo blockchain will only be used for operations and to run ICO contracts, for example. So you can see on the right hand side here, the Bridge Protocol will allow identity portability, universal KYC, and also the important part, cross-blockchain standardization, so that it can be used in many other different blockchains, which again is important with a lot of blockchain technologies coming along. I think we'll have a few that will be used, especially Ethereum. You've got Neo, perhaps Dragon Chain, and a few others will also rise to prominence. So you really need to be adaptable and tackle everything. You can't pigeonhole yourself. So they will have the marketplace. The IAM token will fuel the ecosystem of the storefront. And it will allow you to access the marketplace, microservices, and also be used for the fees for using the system itself. So as we can see here, they have a 5-step system. They will have an identity management system, a tier classification. Basically, the higher up the tier you are, the more verification that's been done on you. So I think there's 3 tiers. 1 is just a basic verification. 2 is to take part in ICOs, basically like a normal KYC, if you like. And number 3, the top tier, is for accredited investors that have actual status or whatever. I think that whole concept is ridiculous, but in certain countries like the US, it's required to invest in certain projects. So that's the tier model. Then stage 3 will be compliance strategies, 4, user protection, and 5, they will also integrate with existing infrastructure, because there are a lot of legal companies and such like that don't actually implement any blockchain technology. So you've got to have some way to integrate with what they've already got. So an example of how it works is in the white paper, and John wants to participate in an ICO, for example. It requires a KYC process, so they ask for a lot of personal information. I'm sure you've all done it before. But instead of submitting the private information to a random person or entity, he shares a Bridge public key address from his Bridge wallet for the whitelist process. The token sale owners, or the ones that are running the ICO, will then use the Bridge tokens to verify the public wallet address from John and ensure that it links John's basic information that's given in the whitelist. John then signs the participation document with his private key, creating a legally trusted and binding agreement. And this obviously keeps the sensitive data secure and offers a better solution than currently available. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's 3 tiers to the system. And the verifier will know immediately what tier John is on, whether he's just number 1, not able to participate. Number 2, he's past the KYC, or number 3, he's an accredited investor, so to speak. So very easy, very efficient, and very secure. So the Bridge IAM token will fuel the ecosystem, and it will allow you to get into the marketplace to buy or sell KYC services. It will also be used to pay for microservices, and also it will be used to pay for using the system. So it will be essentially used for fees. Now, the storefronts will provide identity services, know your customer solutions, and also you'll be able to access legal service providers as well on the blockchain. So whitelisting for the ICO starts on February the 5th. You will need to do your KYC and everything before you can participate in the token sale. The timer there is for the whitelisting. As I say, it begins February the 5th. You'll need to do it. The token distribution is as follows. There will be 1 billion tokens total. Of the billion, 50%, that's 500 million, will be available in the public token sale. 2% or 20 million will be reserved for the bounty campaign, which we'll look at later. 20% will be for development, that's 200 million. 20% also for marketing and PR, another 200 million. And 8% will be reserved for contingency, numbering 80 million. So as we can see, total supply 1 billion, available during the token sale 500 million. The hard cap will be 25 million US dollars. Public sale date will be February the 5th to the 28th, so plenty of time to get registered and start. The minimum purchase will be 1 NEO and the maximum purchase will be 5,000 NEO. Only NEO is accepted during this crowd sale, and the token price is a very reasonable 5 cents per token, and obviously pegged to the US dollar, which will assist with any crypto or NEO currency fluctuations, which is very good. So we know what we're paying regardless of the price of NEO, and NEO has been going up quite considerably in the last few days. I think they've got the NEO DevCon conference in San Francisco coming up. That's probably why. So good to see them pinning it to the US dollar and saying this is the price of it regardless. So I like that. So you will need a Neon wallet, a Neon web wallet. If you've not got it already, you can download it. It's available on GitHub. Just Google Neon wallet for Neo or City of Zion wallet. And the Neon wallet, I think it's a version 0.1.1 at the moment. I might be wrong. It might be a new version out. The unsold tokens will be burned as well. So if they don't sell out, then the supply will be a lot lower. I think looking at the token metrics here and looking at the economics, I think that there is good potential for this. They have already handled different token sales, so I expect this one to go pretty smoothly. And oh yes, if you are a US citizen, you can actually participate as well. A lot of people ask me, oh, you know, I'm a US citizen, we can't participate. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys, not my fault. You know what I think about these stupid regulations you guys have. But yeah, this one is based in the US, and you are free to participate, I believe, so that's good. Again, they only accept NEO. 1 NEO is the minimum to participate. Again, NEO is not divisible. If you're a private institution, I think we can see there you can contribute 13,000 NEO. That's quite a lot of money. And a maximum amount for individuals is 5,000 NEO. Again, owning the tokens does not constitute any stock or ownership in the actual company itself, and the tokens will be an NEP5 NEO token, so you can store them on your Neon wallet, and you will receive them after the crowd sale ends or on and around February the 22nd. So the Bridge Protocol bounty campaign will be distributing 15 million of the IAM tokens worth 5 cents each, so a $750,000 bounty for the campaign, and it will be distributed after the token sale finishes, no later than March the 1st, 2018. There will be 15% for the Reddit and Facebook campaigns, 15% for a Twitter campaign, 25% for articles, reviews and publications, 15% for translation campaign, and 30% reserved for the management of it all. So there is a Google spreadsheet you'll need to complete if you want to partake, and the bounty will run until all the tokens are given to the community. So you must either follow Bridge Protocol on Twitter or subscribe to the subreddit. As usual, there are different criteria for each of the bounties and different rewards as well. They're all listed on the Bitcoin Talk forum. I will leave the link below as usual. Now onto the roadmap section. They are basically starting from Q1 2018 on this roadmap, and they are having the token sale, obviously. They are testing and evaluating their system. Q2 will see them doing the identity management system on the NEO testnet, and certificates will be issued for testing and evaluation. Then Q3 2018 we'll see identity management system will be deployed. The Bridge Protocol will issue the first certificates. Then compliance framework testing and evaluation. The system will be on the testnet, and the tier system logic will be created for the network use. Q4 2018, compliance framework acceptance and rollout onto the mainnet. Going into Q1 2019, there will be feature additions for the certificates, cross-chain interfacing, and new services offered. And Q2 2019, the platform development to meet customer and user requirements will continue on. Looking at the team now, and it looks like the two brothers are the co-founders of this. They're both involved with blockchain technology. Stephen is the founder of Project ICO, who Bridge are partnered with, obviously. And Andrew has a Bachelor's of Engineering in Computer Engineering. The team is not, I wouldn't say it's all-star. They certainly know their stuff. This SAS company's mentioned a few times. Fritz Lehman works there. Who else? There's a few others that work there. Some of the advisory body as well. Yeah, Mitzi works there as well. Now I just did a little. I hadn't heard of SAS before. It's not especially a service. It's a company. It's a IT company in the US. They actually deal with analytics mainly. They're quite a big company. They claim to be the leader in their field. But again, it just gives the technical know-how, I think, is important here. Looking at the team rather than the companies they've worked for before, seem to have a lot of experience with blockchain projects, ICOs, etc., which is what they're aiming at initially. And all of them have different skills to bring to the table. So it's quite a diverse team. But at the same time, it's a team that is technically capable to implement the project. So they have a partnership with a company called Project ICO, and they've run many ICOs previously. So they're developing their partnership to launch more ICOs, provide the KYC and the identity verification services for Project ICO. Notably, they have been involved with Elastos, Loki, which was the blockchain for inventions and patents, I believe. I reviewed it some time ago. You can go back through and have a look if you're interested. Also, ICO Alert, Amchar Plus, not sure what that little red one in the middle is, and Space Chain over on the left there. So there has been quite a few clients that have used Project ICO. No doubt there'll be more in the future. And Bridge Protocol has been part of that, and they're working hand in hand to provide their services. So as far as the community is concerned, they are active on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, Reddit, Discord. And they don't have that great a community support. They've only got 1,452 followers on Twitter, and about as similar on Telegram, in fact 1,906. But interest in the project is growing, and it's reasonable community support for a project of this nature. It looks like it's gone under the radar for a lot of people too. I didn't find it until a few days ago, and it could do with a little bit more hype, I would say, to try and push it forward. But again, it's they're not looking to raise millions upon millions of dollars. The hard cap is fairly low at 25 million, so there's a good chance of getting in on this one, which is good. Not too busy. There won't be a gas war to get in, it looks quite promising. People are very positive about it on social media, and they are quite active as well. So there's I would say reasonable community support for this project. So let's look at the verdict, and first off, the positives as I see them. Number one, They've got a partnership with Project ICO, so they will be used initially in partnership with Project ICO to do the KYC on various projects that launch through that platform. I think the fact that they're based on the Neo blockchain as well, with a focus on that initially, is quite exciting, as it's an up-and-coming blockchain, so we could see this being used quite extensively over the coming year and into the future. But their partnership with Project ICO means they will have some clients initially, so they won't have to go out looking and digging for themselves. Number two, they solve some very striking KYC issues, not least of all the cost, but the privacy aspect, the security, and the data ownership. You as an individual can maintain control over your data, whereas at the moment that's just not possible. As soon as you upload your KYC documents, then whoever is conducting the KYC has them, and that is prone to breaches, data breaches, etc. Number three, the team is competent with the technology. I think the fact that they're already involved in the space is important for this project. If they weren't, then it would give me less confidence that they would be able to implement. Number four, and quite important, is obviously the low token price. 5 cents is not a lot to pay for a token, especially one that has the potential of this particular project. And obviously taking into account the supply as well, it still makes this quite a reasonable starting point or entry point for any potential investor or contributor. Number five, this is important with this project in particular because there's quite a lot of, not enough hype about it. It's not hyped enough, it's not really on everybody's radar. So a token burn here will make a big difference in that if they only sell a percentage of their tokens, the rest will be burned, and that will give added value to those of us that are investing. And another couple of positives here, under the radar, it could make this a microcap bargain. 5 cents isn't a lot, as I said, so if you get in at ICO, this could be potentially quite a good bargain if it then starts to gain traction once it gets onto a few exchanges and onto CoinMarketCap. And number seven, finally, it's well presented and it's concise as well. It doesn't waffle much like I do, but it's it's presented. They've obviously put a little time and effort into it. And they've bothered to proofread their material, which for me shows that they're actually accurate and paying a lot of attention to detail. As ever, there are negatives, and the negatives are as follows. Number one, they don't have a working product yet, or MVP, at least as far as the timeline is concerned, the roadmap is concerned. Implementation will begin this year, so they've just started. The competition in this sector is robust, and a lot of them are more established and more well known, and that could hinder the adoption of Bridge by certain companies going forward, certain individuals going forward. So there's going to be a bit of a bun fight here, and which technology or which company is going to emerge victorious, we'll need to wait and see. Number three, they've got a fairly high total supply. Now, this only really matters in context of your investment. It could go either way here. I think having a fairly high total supply is could be good if they sell out. It will show really strong demand for it. But if they do sell out, it means that the value of your token at 5 cents is going to be less than, say, for example, if they don't sell out and half the tokens are burned, the circulatory supply could go on the exchanges at maybe a quarter of a billion supply total, and you could get more value for your investment. But a high supply is it's not overly high, put that way. It's not, we're not talking tens of billions here. 1 billion is fairly standard these days, but it's still higher than I would have liked. Number four, another negative, community support with this project is fairly weak. They don't seem to be on anybody's radar. Now, that could work against it when it hits exchanges. Obviously, not having the hype behind it could lead it to lose interest when it goes on exchanges. Of course, it could work the opposite way in that people pick it up when it goes on CoinMarketCap, look at the token price, the fairly low token price, the circulatory supply, and think this might be a good bargain. So it's not the end of the world, but those are just a few of the negatives that I've noted about this project. So moving on to the final verdict now, and the hardest thing in life is to know which bridge to cross and which to burn. And that's a quote from a Scottish guitarist called David Russell. And yeah, that's my feeling about this project now. I'm sort of torn. I'm in two minds. I like it. I think it's a polished product, as I've said. So I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5. I think it's got potential. Will I be investing? Well, again, as I say, I'm kind of unsure. I don't know whether to cross the bridge or to burn it. I may well invest in this project. It's got certain potential. I can see that. Yeah, so I'm leaning on the side of investing in this. I like the fact they're going to apply cross-blockchain implementation. I like the fact that the token price is fairly low. I think it could get traction when it hits the exchange, so I will probably invest in this. Anyway, that's my review for Bridge Protocol done. So if you've got any comments, please leave them below as usual. I hope you like the review. Please like and subscribe if you've not done so already. As ever, another disclaimer, I don't get paid for these reviews, guys. Yeah, these are just my opinion. They shouldn't be taken as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If you're going to invest in ICOs, they do have inherent risk, and you've got to be aware of that. And please, you know, do your own due diligence, do your own research. If you're going to invest, always invest what you can afford to lose, and invest with caution and invest wisely. All right, so that's that done. I'll be back maybe later today or even tomorrow with another ICO review. So join me then, and thanks for watching.